Hey, what is up guys, I'm Exteria, and content's gonna be slow for a little bit because we are in the same patch for the next 3 weeks or to a month, which is patch 14.24b. So in this video, we're gonna cover one of the most simple and easy comps, Rebel. A lot of people have a misconception on how to play this comp, but let me tell you on how to properly build this comp. And for Jinx's core items to have his Spirit Explosion, the rest of the damage items don't really matter, but if you need best in slot, it will be Infinity Edge with Guard Breaker. Guard Breaker is really good because it amps your damage, so there's a reason why it's really good. You can do Last Whisper if you want, or you can flex other items here. As long as Spirit Soulgen, it doesn't really matter with the other two items. Good artifact items would be Mana Zane, so she can keep casting and casting, so she can get that rocket right away. And the rest of the artifacts here are just damage items for her. For Zoe, a lot of people think Spirit Soulgen is her best in slot, or her core item, but it turns out Ginsu's Rage Blade is. The reason why behind this is because you want Zoe to keep casting more and more. And in order to do that, you need some attack speed. Compared to Spirit Soulgen, yes, it makes you cast faster, but it's only for the initial cast that makes you cast right away. And then afterwards, it takes time to build up mana after that. Compared to Ginsu's Rage Blade, the initial amount of mana you're going to get takes a little bit of time, but because you're playing Rebel, it stuns the board for about 1.5 seconds, so it gives Zoe enough stacks with Ginsu's Rage Blade to start wrapping up attack speed, which is about 3 or even 4 stacks, so she can keep casting faster and faster. So this is the reason why Ginsu's Rage Blade is more highly prioritized and higher elo than it is Spirit Soulgen. And then the rest of the items for BIS on Zoe is any damage item like Joe Gauntlet, Death Cap, or any of these you see here. Same thing with the artifact with Jinx. Mana Zane is really powerful on Zoe because it makes her cast more and more, and then whatever AP artifacts you can find. Your main tank's going to be Alawi, and you just put whatever tank items you want on her. Most of the time you kind of want to do Sunfire for her best in slot, just to have some sort of anti-heal on the board, but essentially it's just any tank item you can find. And the best emblems to choose for this comp would be Rebel, which is a spat and a bow. If you have a pan, you can reforge it to a spat. Or Sentinel emblem is also fine. If you cannot get Rebel emblem, this is okay. I'm gonna briefly go over this so I can show you in Team Builder more properly. But essentially the opener for your first item slimes, the best one would be like Spirit Soulgen, Ginsu's Rage Blade, or Guard Breaker, because you can flex these with either Jinx or Zoe. And then you have your decent tank items here like Warmong, Sunfire, really powerful start. One of my favorites because it's a tank item-ish and it allows you to do damage. And since the early game is only like 3 or 4 units, the Sunfire value is very powerful in the early game. You can also build Steadfast Heart because it's really strong in general in the beginning and late game. Or you can do stuff to win streak early, which is like Static Shiv, Red Buff, or even Onyx Bark if you want to, or even Thief's Gloves. So essentially anything that can make you strong in the beginning game by casting or slightly amount of damage with like Guard Breaker. The best openers you could do would be like Vex with her Zoe item holder, which is Ginsu's Rage Blade, or even Spirit Soulgen is fine as well. You have Aurelia as the main tank, or whatever level 2 tank you have at the time. And most of the time you want to build either Sunfire or Warmongs. And then you have Rel because she is a Sentinel with Aurelia, and you also get that Visionary, and then whatever other Rebel units you can find. The default board is Zoe, Alawi, Aurelia, Set, Akali, Ezreal, Nami with Vex. If you find Jinx, you can trade out Vex for Jinx. It will be better that way. And this is the default board if you're going to play for the Zoe carry route. But if you want to play the Jinx carry route, it's the same thing, but instead of Nami, you're going to use Echo instead. And then for emblem holders, if you have an emblem, because we take out Vex already for Jinx, you take out Ezreal, and you just put one of these units in with the emblem. A really good one that is like good for your econ would be Mbessa, because she gets Quick Striker with Akali, so it's fine to have the emblem on her. Or you could throw it on LeBlanc, it's okay as well, or any of the 6 cost units. Good +1 units to fit in this comp would be either Echo, LeBlanc, Victor, or Mel. If you have an extra slot, these units are fine for that. Echo is really good with Jinx because you get the Ambusher, so that's the reason why it's a good +1. Or if you have like this anomaly, for example, the trait Unlikely Duel, it gives you a Jinx and it also gives you a Savika. Now for the team builder segment, so you guys can see easier and have a visual idea, the best opener would be to have a Vex with either a Ginsu's Rage Blade opener or a Spirit Soulgen opener. Most of the time, Ginsu's Rage Blade would be the best because it's the strongest early game. It makes you win streak really hard with it, since you're dishing out more damage and Vex can cast with it. The other units to play with her would be like Aurelia, because you get that Rebel in and she's pretty good main tank. So if you have main tank items like Warmongs or even Sunfire's Cape is good as well, but we're going to show Warmongs as the tank item indicator. And then this is just an example, but if you have any of the Rebel units like Seth or Akali, you can use one or the other. We're just going to use Akali for now. And most of the time it will be like a Singed or something. Since Singed is a Sentinel with Aurelia, they're good like pair together. Whichever one you get level 2 first, either Singed or Aurelia, you put the tank items on first. Unless you find a Rel, I would suggest to hold on to the Rel till you get Aurelia too. Then you can swap out the Singed for a Rel so you can get that Visionary. Unless you can't get the opener for your Rebel start, you can stick with Singed 2, Aurelia 2, and then Vex with Morgana. So you have 2 Sentinel, 2 Visionary. Until you can find your rebel unit, you can throw it at level 5, or you can take it out if you want, the Morgana, and have in the Rel instead, if Morgana's not level 2. Essentially, it's just whatever you have upgrades first, you kind of switch in and out of. So don't do the mistake of having a Singed 2 and only an Aurelia 1, so he'll be your main tank for now, right? You have this as an opener, for example, and say everything else is level 1 but the Singed 2, but though you find a Rel, so you want to take out the Singed for the Rel instead, now you have less power because everything's level 1, so you're gonna die easier. So just have the mindset of having everything level 2 with the core units. And then from here, once you have Aurelia 2, you want to transfer the tank item with your remover, put her as the main tank, and just add rebel units over time. So this is level 4, and then you throw out a Kali at level 5, throw out Ezreal at level 6, and then there you go. Level 6, we have 5 rebel, 2 sentinel, 2 visionary, because these core units are the best ones to use. The direction you want to play this comp is what I showed you with the openers. There's really no other openers to play this comp, because if you're playing rebel, you're locked into only playing rebel. And at level 7 doesn't really matter too much. You can throw in whatever unit, like maybe Nami if you're playing for the Zoe carry style. And once you hit level 8, then you roll down for like all your units. So you want to play your default board, which is Alawi. Just take out Rel for Alawi, put the main tank item on her. Even if she's level 1, it's still fine because she's a very powerful unit. And this is the type of positioning I like to do. Then once we find our Zoe, we just transfer the items and we have this as our board. And this is the positioning I like to do. You can flip this positioning too on the other side as well, just depending on which way you want to do it. And if you find a Jinx early enough, then you can swap out the Vex for Jinx. Hopefully you have a bigger Shojin for her by then. You can let Ezreal hold items for Jinx at level 8 and then transfer it over after. If you have Rebel Emblem, the best budget version would be having an Abessa because you get Quick Striker and you can get Emissary, but you have to take out Nami for that so you can get the Emissary in. So you want to switch out Nami for hopefully maybe you fight LeBlanc or some other mage unit, like even Swain is fine. And then Swain also gives you Conquer with Embessa, so this is actually pretty good to do that. Then once you hit level 9, then you can look for LeBlanc, so you have a better mage unit in, and you throw in your Echo because you get the Ambusher at level 9. So basically you just mix and match units. The other units you can mix and match with would be like maybe if you get a Warwick, that's also fine. You can trade that out with Embessa or Warwick if you prefer that. The positioning trick I like to do here is to do it like this. The main reason why is because Warwick, what he does is he would jump at someone. If they are below a certain threshold, he would jump out and just attack them and kill them right away. If he does that, he gets into like his frenzy state, so he can just kill everything on the board. But if you're not using Warwick, then it's fine to use probably the best unit hands down, which would be Victor. You can put the emblem on him, is fine. Or you can even use Mel. Either one is fine. It doesn't really matter. Essentially, the default board is this as the full default board, which is just this. You just mix and match with Ezreal and stuff like that. If you don't care about LeBlanc because maybe you don't have items on Zoe, then just use any 6 cost unit or even Ambessa. So it's pretty straightforward to play this comp. It's just mix and match on what you can find and what you can get. For our augments, the ones you always want to auto-click would be the Rebel Crest, so you can accelerate rebels better and easier. Paint the Town Blue is a really strong rebel augment. Like, it's probably one of the best trait augments because once a unit dies, you get another unit that substitutes with it. So like, it clones it out after it dies, it summons another one, which is a lower version of it, which is very powerful to do because it gives you extra frontline and it allows your backline units like Jinx and Zoe to keep casting it more and more. And Climb the Ladder is very powerful for this comp as well because you're playing 7 rebels or maybe 8, so every time when a rebel unit dies they transfer their stats to the next unit. Mana Flow, because you need Zoe and Jinx to keep casting, this is a very powerful one for that. All That Shimmers allows you to accelerate the game with either Collector to get extra money and is a good damage item for Jinx, or even Gambler's Blade, which I forgot to show on the slide for Zoe, is very good on her as well because it gives her attack speed and accelerates her damage. Prismatic Pipeline is a good augment for this in general because you have a chance to maybe get 6 cost units, maybe to get a chance to get a Jinx or even a Spatula or something like that, so you can get Rebel Crest. Speaking of spats, Coordination is very good to have +1 units and it gives you a free item that has a lot of damage on it. Dual Purpose is a good econ augment where every time you level, you gain +2 gold, and it also rolls your shop, so you have a higher chance to find your units. Speaking of money, this augment is only for like 2nd and 3rd augment, you can't get it as a 1st one. Investa is very powerful because you're able to get free rerolls after 50 gold, you're able to get 1 free reroll up to 80 gold. So essentially saying you can have 3 free rerolls every turn, and it allows you to hit level 9 faster too. Like sometimes with this augment, I hit level 9 at stage 4-2 or 4-3 and just roll for Jinx. And speaking of money, Raining Gold is a good like casual econ augment. Precinct Lotus is a decent meta one if you don't know which augment to choose. This one's not bad because it gives you both armor and magic resist shred. Little Buddies, because you're playing with a lot of 1 and 2 cost units, you get a lot of stats for your 4 and 5 cost units. Unlikely Duel is pretty decent because you get a Savika and the main one you get is Jinx. And Savika would be a pretty decent +1 unit to have on the board. If you have an emblem for her on top of that, and you level 2 everything, you basically win the game with this. Augment prior order with all the time is emblem, which is the robo quest. If you find it, just take it. Or if not, an item is really good because you kind of need multiple carries, so they need items to back it up. Or you could go to a combat augment, such as like Paint the Town Blue or Piercing Lotus. If you're too poor for level 8, an econ augment is always good, like invested. For our anomalies, the best one to choose for is depending on which one you have at the current time. So depending on Zoe or Jinx, it's the ones you want to choose the anomalies on. Alawi is always a good unit to put an anomaly on. Can't go wrong with it. But if you want to play for damage carries, if you have Zoe as the main carry, Killstreak is a very good one for her because she kills units, she gets mana back. Speaking of mana, Nothing Wasted is also really good because if your team dies, then she gets mana back from that, so it makes her cast even more. And Comeback Story is always a good damage anomaly. Can't go wrong with it. So Jinx is kind of the same thing, but Killstreak doesn't really work too well with Jinx because her first two abilities doesn't really kill anything. It's her third one that kills everything. So Nothing Wasted is very powerful for that, so you can get that third cast right away. And Comeback Story, like I said earlier, it's always good damage one, so you can't go wrong with it. And Attack Expert is just good default attack damage anomaly for 80 units. And Alawi, the good tank ones would be like Giant Size plus 1000 HP, or Stone Skin, Deep Roots, same thing, get extra armor magic resist, but you cannot move and you pull units towards you. The playstyle we want to play this comp is high tempoing the fast 8, and the reason why you want to do this because this comp is more of a win streak comp. So at stage 2-1 you want to level to 4, so you have a higher chance to hit your units, and you also have 4 units on the board to win better. If you lose with it, then at least you lose less HP. At stage 2-3, always make intervals of 10 gold, 10, 20, 30 gold. If you have somewhere around like intervals of like 14, 24, 34 gold, you should pre-level to 5, which should look something like this. The reason why you do this because once you hit carousel round and you come back from that, you have a level 5 shop, you have a chance to hit maybe a 4 cost unit. But if you skip this part, you can hit level 5 at stage 2-4 instead. At stage 2-6, always make intervals of 10 gold again, 20, 30 gold, or you could do it at 2-5. As long as you're making intervals of 10 gold each round is always good. Always do it at 2-6 or 2-5 no matter what. At stage 2-3, hit level 6, which is normal tempoing, which is around your second augment. And then even earlier than this, or at stage 3-7, hit level 7. At stage 4-1 or 4-2, hit level 8 and roll for your board. Basically about it. Pretty standard fast 8 high tempoing playstyle. And that's it for the simple and easy comp Rebel. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.